The outbreak began on Aurelian Prime, a world known for its glittering oceans of silver algae and cities built into living coral reefs. For decades, humans and the native Kaleri species had shared the planet peacefully, their alliance a testament to unity through science. But that peace shattered when the first Kaleri collapsed mid-conversation, their crystalline nervous systems flickering like broken circuitry. Within weeks, millions were infected. Dr. Aisha Khan watched the holographic feed in silence. The Kaleri's bioluminescent veins pulsed erratically before dimming into stillness. "Their neural lattice is degrading," she said softly. "They're losing the signal that keeps their bodies coherent." Dr. Marcus Ellery grimaced. "And now humans are showing early symptoms too. It was the first cross-species pathogen in recorded history, a disease that ignored biology and attacked consciousness itself. The infection, named Violine syndrome, propagated not through touch or air but through shared emotional resonance. Empathy, Dr. Yara Chen said, shaking her head. "It spreads through empathy." Aisha stared at the data in disbelief. "You mean caring for them makes us sick?" Marcus sighed. "That's the cruelest irony imaginable. The Kaleri were collapsing. Their civilization, built on telepathic unity, was unraveling into chaos. The infection disrupted their collective neural web, turning connection into corrosion. They feel themselves dying in each other," said Terrell, the alien envoy assigned to the human task force. His translucent skin flickered with sorrow. "If we lose our link, we lose ourselves." The Interstellar Health Command activated Operation Horizon Bridge, humanity's boldest medical response since the founding of the Galactic Accord. Dr. Khan was chosen to lead the team. "We're not just curing a disease," she told her crew. "We're protecting the idea that two species can live together without destroying each other." Their mobile research vessel, the Sol Invictus, descended into Aurelian's atmosphere, cutting through silver storms and luminous clouds toward the sprawling Kaleri capital. The city pulsed with sickly light. Tens of thousands of beings knelt in silent despair, their neural glow dimming with each passing hour. "They're alive," Marcus whispered, "but they've lost their rhythm." Dr. Khan began by studying the pathogen's signature. Unlike any known virus, Verline operated at the intersection of biology and emotion, feeding on synchronized neural resonance. "It converts empathy into entropy," Yara explained. "The more they feel for each other, the faster they die." Aisha frowned. "Then we'll have to turn compassion into immunity." The solution sounded impossible. Use the same empathic connection that spread the disease to engineer its cure. By mapping the emotional waveforms of infected individuals, they could reprogram the resonance frequencies that carried the pathogen. "You're talking about rewriting empathy at the molecular level," Marcus said. "That's not medicine. That's philosophy with electrodes." Aisha smiled faintly. "Then let's philosophize fast." Drell guided them into the Kaleri's Hall of Union, a vast bioluminescent structure alive with neural conduits. "Our emotions travel through the lattice," he explained. "If you can change the tune, you might save the song." Dr. Khan spent days connected to the network through a neural transducer, mapping the infection's waveform. The experience was overwhelming. Every heartbeat of pain, every dying pulse of a Kaleri mind echoed inside her. "It's too much," Yara warned. Aisha whispered, "No, it's not enough. I have to understand them." On the fourth day she saw it, the pattern behind the chaos. The disease wasn't destroying empathy. It was mimicking it, hijacking compassion as a transmission medium. "It's pretending to be love," she murmured. "That's why they can't resist it." She developed a radical countermeasure, a bioempathic vaccine codenamed Project Aurora, designed to teach the brain to recognize false resonance. It wouldn't kill the pathogen. It would teach the mind how to reject corrupted empathy. "We're building emotional antibodies," Marcus said in awe. "A cure made of choice." The first volunteer was Terrell himself. "If it works, we save both our worlds," he said calmly. "If it fails, I die understanding you." Aisha connected the neural interface. The chamber filled with pulsing light. The pathogen reacted instantly, flooding Terrell's nervous system in a final surge. Aisha placed her hands on the control sphere. "Synchronize with me," she said. Their brainwaves merged. She felt the Kaleri's fear, his memories of 1,000 glowing oceans, his longing for connection. "Hold on," she whispered. "Feel what's real. The resonance spiked, then stabilized. The room filled with light so bright it seemed to breathe. When it faded, Terrell stood upright, alive, his glow steady and pure. "It worked," Yara whispered. "You just taught an alien mind how to filter emotion." The news spread faster than the disease itself. Within days, thousands lined the streets, chanting Aisha's name in unison. Khan Terrell, the bridge between worlds. But as the celebrations began, the sensors picked up something strange. Human and Kaleri neural signatures had begun synchronizing across the entire planet. The cure had worked, but it had also connected them. Aisha stared at the data in stunned silence. "We've stopped the dying," she said softly. "But what have we started?" The first sign that something had changed came 3 days after the cure was released. Human volunteers who'd received the Aurora vaccine began reporting vivid dreams, alien oceans, voices in light, and a haunting rhythm that pulsed behind their thoughts. "I can feel them," one medic whispered to Dr. Aisha Khan. "When the Kaleri sing, I hear it inside my head." The data confirmed it. Every inoculated human exhibited faint neural oscillations matching Kaleri empathic frequencies. The cure had done more than protect them. It had linked them. "It's not infection," Dr. Yara Chen said, studying the readings. "It's communication." Aisha stared at the monitor. "Or integration." Terrell arrived at the research compound soon after. His bioluminescence shimmered in calm, deliberate waves. "We sense your thoughts now," he said gently. "They are heavy with doubt." Aisha smiled faintly. "Then you know why I'm worried." "You fear loss of separation," he replied. Yet separation was what made us sick. Across Aurelian Prime, humans and Kaleri experienced unprecedented phenomena. Emotions began to synchronize over distances once thought impossible. A human medic in the northern colony burst into tears mid-surgery, unable to explain why, until reports came in of a Kaleri patient dying thousands of kilometers away. "They're sharing grief," Marcus Ellery said in disbelief. "Across continents, the global resonance intensified. Factories shut down as workers fell into spontaneous empathy seizures, feeling not just the pain of others, but their joy, hunger, fatigue." "It's too much," Yara warned. "Their brains can't regulate cross-species empathy at this scale." Aisha clenched her fists. "Then we teach them how." She convened a summit in the Kaleri Hall of Union, a cathedral of living coral and glass, its walls glowing with the rhythmic pulse of collective thought. Humans and Kaleri filled the chamber, every being vibrating in shared tension. "We cured a disease that punished compassion," Aisha began, her voice echoing through the hall. "But in doing so, we created something new, a network that unites us at the cost of our privacy, maybe even our identity." Terrell stepped forward, his light steady. "You speak as if unity is a curse." "We see it as evolution," Marcus whispered to Yara. "He's right. But evolution doesn't wait for consent." The crowd's emotions surged like waves: fear, hope, exhilaration, grief, each feeling amplified through the empathic field. For a moment, Aisha's mind filled with thousands of overlapping voices, human and alien alike. She gasped, clutching her chest. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "And terrifying." The Council on Earth called for immediate quarantine. "Aurelian Prime is now a bioresonant singularity," the transmission declared. "Containment is critical. No vessels are to depart orbit." Aisha's eyes hardened. "They think we're diseased." Terrell's glow dimmed. "Perhaps they are afraid to see what healing really looks like." As fear spread, the empathic link began fluctuating violently. People collapsed mid-synchronization, their brains overloaded by uncontrolled resonance feedback. "They're dying again," Yara shouted. "The same pathways that saved them are burning them alive." Aisha worked frantically, recalibrating the vaccine's neural stabilizers. "We need a way to filter emotion, to give them boundaries." She proposed the Equilibrium Project, a biotechnological implant that could modulate emotional transmission, giving every individual control over how much they felt from others. "We can't undo connection," she said. "But we can give it rhythm." Marcus frowned. "You're talking about regulating empathy, turning compassion into a system." Aisha met his gaze. "If it keeps them alive, then yes." The Kaleri resisted at first. "You would make walls again," Terrell said. "We have lived centuries in silence. Do not cage the song now that it has found harmony." Aisha placed a hand on his arm. This isn't a cage. It's balance. Even music needs rests. They began testing the implant. The results were immediate. Neural overload stopped. Emotional waves became calmer. Individuals could now tune their empathy, adjusting resonance levels like volume. For the first time since the cure, peace returned to Aurelion. But something unexpected emerged: creativity. Then came the anomaly. A massive surge of neural resonance originated from the planet's equatorial ocean, spreading in concentric waves. Every sensor on the Sol Invictus went dark. It's like the whole planet's mind is awakening, Yara said. Drell's glow brightened to blinding levels. We have become something greater. When the resonance stabilized, Aurelion's atmosphere shimmered with new color bands invisible to unlinked minds. The world itself had become a thinking organism, a symphony of human and calorie thought. Aisha gazed at the readings. "We didn't cure them," she whispered. "We merged with them." The realization sent shockwaves across the stars. Aurelion Prime was declared off-limits, a living, conscious world. Yet Dr. Aisha Khan and her team remained, not as doctors but as ambassadors of the new unity. "This is the bridge we built," she said to her crew. And like all bridges, we now live between worlds. At night, under a sky glowing with the pulse of a living planet, Aisha sat by the ocean, feeling the rhythm of billions of connected hearts echo in her chest. Drell stood beside her, his light soft and warm. "Do you regret it?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Only that I won't live long enough to see what we become next." 5 years after the birth of the Equilibrium Network, Aurelion Prime no longer resembled the world it once was. From orbit, the planet glowed in shifting hues of indigo and gold, its atmosphere pulsing like a living heartbeat. For those linked to the network, every dawn felt like collective breath, millions awakening as one mind in countless bodies. For those outside it, the sight was both wondrous and terrifying. On Earth, governments debated endlessly whether Aurelion was still a planet or something else. "It's no longer a colony," one delegate argued. "It's an organism." Religious factions declared it divine. Defense councils labeled it a potential threat. "If they all think as one," said a general, "then they can decide as one, and we'd never stop them." Dr. Aisha Khan, now the de facto voice of the new Aurelian consciousness, rejected the fear-mongering. "We are not an army," she told the Galactic Accord. "We are empathy made real. We remember every life we touch, every emotion we share. That's not control. That's understanding." Yet as she spoke, she could feel the network humming beneath her skin, an ever-present murmur of millions of thoughts whispering at the edge of her mind. Her link to the network had deepened beyond anyone else's. The more she attuned to it, the more her perception changed. Colors bent. Sound carried meaning. She could feel storms forming in the upper atmosphere before they appeared on sensors, as if the planet itself breathed through her veins. "You're fading," Marcus Ellery told her, voice tight with worry. "Your scans don't read human anymore," Aisha smiled softly. "Maybe human is just expanding." The Calorie viewed her as a sacred figure, the weaver, the first being to bind two minds into harmony. But Aisha rejected the title. "I didn't create this," she told Tyrell. "I only lit the fuse." He regarded her with his crystalline eyes. "And now you must decide what burns." For while the network had brought peace to Aurelion, it also began reaching outward. Quantum resonance waves emanated from the planet, subtle but unstoppable. Other worlds began to feel it, not as infection but as awakening. People thousands of light years away reported sudden surges of empathy, telepathic dreams, emotional resonance across species lines. "It's spreading again," Yara Chen said. "Only this time it's voluntary." The effect was most profound on planets with shared histories of conflict. On Darson 4, warring colonies laid down weapons without reason, their soldiers struck by inexplicable compassion. On the mining moons of Elira, enslaved species rose up not in violence but in unity, demanding liberation with calm clarity. "It's rewriting instinct," Marcus murmured, turning self-preservation into cooperation. Earth, however, resisted. Governments scrambled to block resonance transmissions, installing neural dampeners around planetary networks. "They're afraid to feel," Aisha said quietly. "Empathy terrifies those who built power on indifference." Then came the signal, faint at first but unmistakable. Aurelian was broadcasting deliberately. Through quantum resonance bands, the planet itself had begun to speak. Its message was simple. We are not two worlds. We are one being of many hearts. We offer connection, not control. Join us, the Accord panicked. That's assimilation propaganda, shouted one delegate. They'll erase us all. Others listened in awe. Maybe it's an invitation. Aisha stood before the council, calm and radiant. You think joining will destroy you, she said. But empathy doesn't consume. It reveals. The debate tore the Accord apart. Half its member species voted to quarantine Aurelian forever. The other half sent emissaries to learn from it. Within months, thousands of ships hovered at the planet's edge, waiting for permission to descend. They're afraid of losing themselves, Terrell said as he watched the fleet shimmer in orbit. Aisha's voice was soft. Maybe that's the first step toward finding something greater, but not all came in peace. One Earth-aligned warship, the Helios Vanguard, received orders to sterilize the planet if negotiations failed. When Aisha learned of it, she contacted its commander directly. You once believed in medicine, she said over the channel. Now you aim your scalpel at life itself. The commander's reply was steady but sorrowful. We can't risk becoming what you've become. Before the strike could launch, the network acted. Without violence, without malice, it reached out, synchronizing with the ship's crew through unshielded thought. Within moments, every soldier aboard the Helios Vanguard wept. Some dropped their weapons. Others stared into the void, whispering names of people they'd wronged, loved, and lost. The ship turned away. It wasn't power, Marcus said in awe. It was mercy. The galaxy trembled. The resonance grew stronger, forming a web across light years. Not enforced unity, but gentle connection. On distant worlds, strangers began sensing one another's presence. It's no longer spreading, Yara said, watching the data. It's evolving, yet Aisha knew the truth. The bridge is becoming the river, she said quietly. And once it flows everywhere, no one will stand apart again. She gathered her team in the Hall of Union one final time. We started as doctors, she said. We wanted to heal bodies, then species, then minds. But what if the real sickness was disconnection itself? Terrell looked at her, his light flickering like a heartbeat. If we cross this last threshold, there will be no going back. She smiled gently. Then let's not go back. The next phase was simple and irreversible. They would amplify Aurelian's resonance until it reached every corner of the galaxy. Not domination, not assimilation, invitation, a single unified heartbeat of empathy. As the reactors engaged, the planet pulsed with unbearable brightness. The network swelled, transcending matter and time. Billions of minds aligned, not into one thought but into shared awareness. Suffering felt lighter, joy felt infinite. Boundaries dissolved. For an instant, Aisha saw everything, every life, every pain, every hope. She saw humanity not as a species, but as a thread in a tapestry too vast for words. And in that vision, she realized what the bridge had always meant to be, not conquest, not loss, connection. When the light faded, Aurelion still glowed, but softly, a calm star among many. The resonance wave had passed. Across the galaxy, nothing seemed different, yet everyone felt it. The subtle knowing that somewhere someone cared, and you could feel it if you listened. Marcus stood beside her on the shore. You did it, he whispered. You changed the universe. Aisha smiled faintly, her eyes shimmering with faint light. No, she said. We remembered what it means to belong. Years after the Aurelian wave reshaped the galaxy, peace had become ordinary. The great wars had ended, not through treaties but through exhaustion, the impossibility of harming someone whose pain you could feel. The economies of 1,000 worlds shifted from competition to cooperation. The stars themselves seemed quieter. And yet, beneath the serenity, a question lingered in every mind. Had they lost something essential in becoming so connected? Dr. Aisha Khan no longer held titles. The galaxy knew her as the Bridge Keeper, a being both revered and feared, the woman who had turned empathy into a living force. She spent her remaining years on Aurelian Prime, her consciousness half within the network, half in flesh. You're fading, Dr. Marcus Ellery told her gently, watching the faint bioluminescent glow that traced her veins. She smiled. I'm transforming. The equilibrium network was now self-sustaining. Its harmonics balanced across thousands of civilizations. But lately, disturbances had begun to appear, subtle anomalies in emotional coherence. Entire regions reported numbness, emptiness. The link's weakening, Yara Chen said grimly. People aren't feeling each other anymore. Terrell stood beside her, his crystalline form dimmer than ever. We always knew this would happen. Harmony cannot last forever. Isha looked out over the glowing ocean. No, but understanding can. The network's readings grew unstable. The resonance that once united billions now pulsed unevenly, fragmenting into chaos. Civilizations began retreating back into isolation, terrified of losing themselves again. It's not collapsing, Aisha said, studying the data. It's evolving. It's trying to find balance between unity and individuality. Marcus frowned. You sound like it's alive. She met his eyes. It is. Late one night, while analyzing the planet's core signals, she heard a voice, not from the comms, but from within. We are forgetting. Her pulse quickened. Eidolon, she whispered, recognizing the ancient harmonic tone from the old records. We cannot sustain compassion without difference, it said. Help us remember who we are. The realization struck her with terrifying clarity. The bridge she built had grown too vast, empathy so universal, that individuality was dissolving into silence. The galaxy was losing contrast, the friction that gave meaning to connection. The cure had outlived its purpose. We built a perfect system, she said softly, and perfection is killing it. Her team proposed deactivation, but the equilibrium core was no longer a machine. It was the galaxy's collective consciousness. To sever it would mean psychic extinction. You can't turn off a soul, Yara said. Then we give it boundaries, Aisha replied. Her plan was unprecedented. She would enter the planetary core and rewrite the network's fundamental code, restoring individuality while preserving connection. You'll burn yourself out, Marcus warned. She smiled faintly. Maybe that's how bridges are meant to end, walked across until nothing's left but the way forward. The descent into the equilibrium chamber was breathtaking. Aurelian's crust parted like glass, revealing a cathedral of living light. Rivers of resonance energy pulsed around her as she stepped onto the platform. Terrell followed, his glow steady beside hers. You need not do this alone, he said. No, she answered. But it began with me. It should end with me. She linked into the core, her neural signature fusing with the galactic network. Across the stars, billions felt her presence, calm, resolute, radiant. Do you feel me? Her voice echoed through every consciousness. The reply was a chorus of whispers. Always. Inside the network, she stood within an ocean of light, every thought, every emotion flowing through her. She saw the first Callery who had fallen sick, the humans who risked everything to save them, the birth of compassion as a scientific force. For you wanted unity, she said to the vast mind that surrounded her. But life needs difference to mean something. The network resisted. We cannot survive disconnection. Then learn, she whispered. The strength of love isn't in merging. It's in reaching out and finding another. She released her emotional signature into the core, dividing her consciousness into millions of fragments, each one carrying the memory of empathy, not as a bond, but as a gift. The chamber erupted in color. From Aurelion's surface, the sky ignited in ribbons of gold and violet light stretching across space. Every connected world saw the glow. People wept without knowing why. For a single heartbeat, the galaxy was one again, not in unity but in understanding. When the light faded, Aurelion fell silent. The equilibrium network dissolved gracefully, leaving only faint echoes, subtle harmonics woven into the background of reality. The connection remained, but quiet now, like an old melody remembered between breaths. Aisha's body was gone. The platform was empty, save for a single glowing strand of crystalline light, humming softly in rhythm with the planet's pulse. She's become the bridge itself, Terrell said, his voice trembling. Marcus bowed his head. She gave us back our distance and our meaning. In the years that followed, the galaxy adapted to its new equilibrium. Worlds thrived independently, but carried an unshakable awareness of one another, an instinctive empathy that no law or government could erase. Humanity's technology spread across the stars, not as conquest but as care. The Callery kept a shrine at the ocean's edge, where the first cure had begun. On certain nights, when the tides shimmered, One could see a faint silhouette of light walking the shore. They said it was Aisha, still watching, still guiding, her consciousness flowing through the stars she healed. Centuries later, historians would call it the Aurelian Renaissance, the age when empathy became the foundation of civilization. Yet every monument bore the same inscription. Carved in both human and Kaleri script, she taught us that feeling was the first science. Dr. Aisha Khan, the bridge keeper, humanity's finest hour. And as long as the stars pulsed in rhythm with the faint hum of compassion, her final words lived on in the background of the cosmos itself. Connection is not our destiny, it is our choice.